Man, it's moving day. I think back to over 40 years ago when my dad moved over 1,000 miles away from his home on the East Coast to the slap dab in the middle of the United States, Lincoln, Nebraska. Didn't know anybody, but he wanted a different game plan for his life. How do you create a winning game plan for your life? Well, the first part of creating a winning game plan is to know what that why is. That's number one. You have to know why you do what you do. It never ceases to amaze me how so many people just kind of go through life and really not even knowing why they do what they do. They keep the same job. They hate it, but they keep doing it. They don't like the product, but they keep using it. There's certain things about their life they just don't like, but they continue. But why do you do it? Once you know why, that old show of G.I. Joe when I was a kid, knowing is half the battle. You got to know why you're doing it. You know, the second thing that I think about as you create a winning game plan, you have to be willing to take 100% responsibility for where you are right now, for where your life is right now, where your career is right now. See, to create a winning game plan for your life, you can never point the finger at someone else and expect to get different results. You have to change first before anything else in your life will change. You have to be the change. It's kind of like the old amazing quote by Gandhi. Be the change you seek to see in the world. You have to be the epitome of the change you want. You know, another thing I want you to think about and how you create a winning game plan for life is you gotta have a I don't care attitude. Now, I'm not saying you tell people, say, hey, I don't care about you. I'm not saying that at all. Sometimes you do feel like saying that. But you gotta have to the point to where you say, you know what? I don't care what happens. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna make this thing happen. What is that thing that you wanna make happen? I remember traveling this state miles and miles, hours and hours away for little or nothing. The majority of the time it was for nothing, very little. Just enough to carry my gas and my expenses. But I wanted this business to work. My oldest son was just a little guy at the time. And there'd be nights when my wife was asleep and I'd go and sit in his room, a little rocking chair we had next to his bed. And he never cared in the world. And I remember the time sitting there in the dark with tears down my face, wondering how am I going to make this thing work? But I had a resolve that no matter what, this is going to work. You see, when you create a winning game plan, you understand that you have to become something you may not have been before in order to make it happen. Yoda in Star Wars, one of my favorite characters in all the movies. Little green guy, he's probably like 2,000 years old. Powerful line. And he goes, you must unlearn what you have learned. As crazy as that may sound, you must unlearn what you have learned. There's a lot of truth to it. Many people need to unlearn some of the habits, thinking patterns that they've learned in the past. What are some of the habits that you need to unlearn? What are some of the things that are impending or that are hurting you from being successful and creating the game plan and the winning game plan that you want for your life? A major habit I had to unlearn was comparing myself to others. You know, that's a pattern right there that millions of people need to unlearn. Stop comparing who you are to other people. You may not be as good as that salesperson over there. You may not do a task better than the gal over there, but who cares? Do the best that you can do. You have to unlearn those habits of comparing yourself to this person or that person, this company or that company. Don't compare yourself to anybody. You know, if you're trying to move from one point to the next, comparing yourself to other people is always going to slow you down. Here's another thing that you're going to learn. Negative self-talk. So many people talk so bad about themselves subconsciously, and they wonder why outwardly the results are not what they want. Watch what you say to yourself. And rest assured, I'm not crazy. All of us talk to ourselves Maybe out loud or subconsciously. What are you saying about you? If you say things subconsciously like, I'll never get it, I'll never understand, I'm just not good enough, you're right. Because you're speaking that very thing into existence. Be careful what you say about you. I'm not saying you walk around telling yourself you're the best, but subconsciously, you sure can do that. The next thing I want you to think about is to ask. What stops us from asking for what we really want? I'd like to think of the word ask as an acronym because you think about it. The first A in ask is ask. Ask for what you want. What is it that you want? Identify that thing. And it almost goes back to point number one. What is your why? Once you know what it is, ask for it. The S in ask is to seek. How are you going to seek those things out? You know, I remember a lot of my buddies when I first started out said, well, listen, man, there's no other speakers out there. How do you know this is even a business? I didn't know until I sought out advice from other people who knew more than what I did. The K in ask is to knock. How many doors are you willing to knock on? How many people are you willing to ask? See, the thing about knocking on doors and the thing that confuses people is they take rejection. Terrible. It's not rejection of you personally, it's just refusal. I can't take any of my kids to the store without Daddy, can I? Daddy, can I have this? Daddy, can I have that? They are always asking. And no matter how many times I say, no, we're not going to get that, they'll look for something else. Why is it as we get older, we stop asking? Last thing, friends, I think it's important. You got to be willing to go to the next play. Somebody's saying, now, what does that mean? When I played football at the University of Nebraska, my former coach, Dr. Tom Osborne, a legend, amazing coach. Often we'd have a bad play, and we'd be coming to the sideline. He said, guys, go to the next play. Go to the next play. Meaning to let it go. Learn the lesson and move on. Another part about going to the next play is you got to be willing to forgive yourself and others as well. It's hard to ask life for something when your hands are still closed because you won't let go of things that hurt you in the past, both personally and professionally. It's impossible to go forward if you keep looking back and become a prisoner of your past. Let it go. Okay, maybe the business deal didn't work out. Learn the lesson, keep moving on. Maybe you bombed the sales deal. Let it go, move on. Maybe you had a terrible interaction with your boss or manager. Let it go. Move on. People who create winning game plans for their lives understand forgiveness is not optional. It's essential. You know, the best way to end this thing and to understand the best way to achieve your goals, gotta be patient. Being patient means you're still creating your plan, still means you're working the plan, but understand it's not gonna happen overnight. It's going to take time. Now let me clear something about patience. Patience doesn't mean you're just sitting there doing nothing. No, that's not it at all. It just means you're doing the things you need to do until your opportunity comes. My dad, after moving here over 40 years ago, when he made that move on his moving day, he understood that the game plan that he currently had on the East Coast was not a winning one. What moves do you need to make to create a winning game plan for your life, both personally and professionally? Think about it.